Why not just say, why not name it something else? You know, a Sonic the Hedgehog series featuring Knuckles kind of thing. Maybe that would have made more sense in this case because I hate to agree with every review, and I thought they were exaggerating at first when I read it that there's not enough Knuckles, there's too much of the fucking sidekick. That is the case, unfortunately. There is too much of the fucking sidekick, Wade. It's too much of him. It's too much of him being unfunny, reading obviously prepared jokes. They don't sound natural coming out of him, and he tries too hard with some of them too. So that's one thing that they got wrong with this thing. Not enough Knuckles. I believe the fourth episode, which is named "The Flames of Disaster." I will say this: while very clever in its whole approach and delivery, they make it into a fucking like a rock musical whole episode where they're singing majority of the time and all that. It's all Wade. I mean, you get an appearance from Lord Pakamak. I think that's how you say it. The elder Echidna spirit, voiced by Christopher Lloyd, or I think Doc from Back to the Future. Better yet said, he counts as an Echidna appearance, but it's not Knuckles or not enough Knuckles. And I don't remember seriously if in episode 4 Knuckles was on screen for like more than a minute. And the rest of the episode is just Wade trying to tap into his potential, the power that lays inside him to be the one of the greatest warriors of all time and shit. But after getting kidnapped by one of his best friends, who's a low key bounty hunter, and because the guy has a bounty on his head, now he gets trapped, he gets taken hostage, he's got to break free and shit. It's all about Wade. That whole episode is all Wade, and I want to say, had it not been as charming as it was, or as well executed as it was, then I really would have hated that episode. I probably would have ranked it the worst of the 6. I can't do that, however, but I will by default because, again, that one does not have enough Knuckles. Episode 4, The Flames of Disaster. While it is charming, while it is funny, actually, even without Knuckles that much on screen, or not enough of him, it's too much of the sidekick. It's way too much of him. Too much of his backstory, we get it. It's like straightforward to the point. We can do without so much of it. Overdone. But let's go back in order in this case, right? So you got episode 1, The Warrior. There's also a thing I'll bring up about like all the songs. It's a lot of songs they used, but I am glad to say that a lot of songs, let's say like 80% of the songs they use are actually not so much hidden gems, but they're not so oftenly used because 20% of them have been used a lot, and of the 20%, 10% has been used way too much already. I will say, even though 10% is overly used, 5% of that shit is a pleasant surprise and still not overly used enough where it's corny now, but the other 5, or that one particular song I'll get to, has been used way too much as of late, in like the last 10, 20 years. It's enough already with that song, but we'll get to it. So episode 1 is titled The Warrior. This is our introduction to Knuckles, Sonic and Tails at home, post Eggman being defeated inside the Hedgehog 2. They're living peacefully. They're at home. They're practically upright walking pets that can talk, that live with a biracial family. Good looking white man, really good looking black girl. She's very pretty. The actress, I forget her name, her character name, her real life name, but she's very pretty. Whoever they casted to be the wife in this shit, the babysitter, I guess, of Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles. Even though they're, I guess you could say, adult-esque or young adult aliens, they would be demoted to pets, even though they're aliens and they have powers, every single one of them. Sonic can go really fast. Tails is a fucking little genius who can probably go just as fast or almost as fast as Sonic and has 2 tails. And there's Knuckles, of course, our boy, who's I don't even know what an echidna is in real life or what it looks like, but he's an oversized rodent with super strength and durability and the fighting skills of, let's say, Batman almost, practically. The premise of episode 1 is that Tom is out of town, so the wife, the black wife, is left with his cousin Wade, who's a cop in Green Hill Zone, to give her a ride to work because Knuckles took, making himself at home too literally and made the home into his Game of Thrones esque like warrior type of fucking din, where he wanted to pit the dog against the mailman because they were mortal enemies and shit. Cute in its approach, funny. There are some good jokes and good gags, especially when it involves Knuckles primarily. He's very funny. Sonic somehow comes off. Yeah, he was pretty corny in both movies. He wasn't. It's weird because in the first Sonic movie, what I remember is Sonic was pretty corny, but not overly corny. While they try to make the movie a little not more serious, but more like in the middle, and sometimes it will get goofy here and there. Versus the second movie where there's too much fucking corniness from Sonic as far as like the jokes, which are really outdated, not funny, or just him being hey a lot of times. But then at least it balances out with Knuckles or Idris Elba actually being funny. The same gags are here too in that nature. When they're done solely by Knuckles, or it's only Knuckles primarily, they're funny and they work. Sonic here, he's only in this first episode. Same thing with Tails, only in the first episode, in the first, like, what, 10, 15 minutes, I think. And Sonic's already annoying with everything he says. It's supposed to be funny, but it's not. It's like you're doing much of the, hey, it's me, Sonic, I'll catch you on the flip side, kind of thing that the voice actor does. So I guess that's why we don't get enough Sonic. It's primarily Knuckles, but we don't get a lot of Sonic. Just precursor, just in case you were hoping or really holding out on that hope. But the premise is Knuckles gets out of hand. He keeps beating up all the construction crews that show up to the house to fix all the damage they've done over time. He's grounded. While he's grounded, he calls on the spirit of Chief Pakamak, the head of Echidna spirit. He comes down, tells him your journey has only started. It's far from over. You need to train this warrior in the making, which is Wade, the cousin they're talking about. Wade's, journey to become a warrior is really just him trying to win a bowling tournament that he got kicked out of because he lost to a little girl. So he lost a spot on his bowling team. And he's trying to see if and when he can get a chance to get back on the team to go to Reno, Nevada, when really the underlying motive of him even being in that bowling tournament, besides him winning, is because he knows his dad is like the king, top dog bowler over in Reno, Nevada, and wants to reunite with him. Dad apparently abandoned him when he was young and shit, got him into bowling in the first place. They bonded via bowling balls, holding each other's balls, literally in that sense, no pun intended. And that all fell through, and now, even though he's a grown-ass man, a policeman and shit, and has an alien best friend now, or he's been reduced to the sidekick of an alien, he still wants his daddy after all anyways. Which is touching. That's the whole point that Wade serves as a sidekick. Reunite me with my daddy, and bring me back to my daddy, Knuckles, please, you overpowered, small, red, furry, adorable alien. Which I will say also, they did a very good job with animating Knuckles throughout the whole thing. My only complaint with the way he looks, or his appearance, better yet said, is episode 3, the Shabbat Dinner, which we'll get to as well. He looks out of place sometimes. He looks like he was photoshopped into a lot of scenes. Versus every other episode, the animation is on point enough where Knuckles looks like he's actually there, or I'm actually looking at the back of a red, fuzzy alien Echidna with big-ass knuckles and humongous-ass feet, which I would think maybe he's got, like, elephantitis or something, because his fists and his fucking feet are so huge, for as small as he is, in that very small, stout, compact frame of his. But he's brolic as fuck, so I guess it doesn't matter. And he's adorable. He's cute. Very cute. So episode 1 continues. He joins up with Wade. He convinces him that he's going to train him as a warrior. They're going to go into that tournament together. Wade takes him to the bowling alley nearby to show him, this is my battlefield. Here's what I'm the warrior of. Knuckles doesn't get it at first, but then he does. He's like into it when he sees like bowls knocking down pins. I think that turns him on. So he's like, I will join you in this festivity. And however, Idris Elba voices Knuckles, right? But then the bowling game gets interrupted by a couple of agents from a thing called Gun, which is like a bad guy that worked under Dr. Robotnik, which is supposedly dead or something like that. Just not the main character, main bad guy in this series. A guy that used to work under Dr. Robotnik. He's hired two agents. One of them is Kid Cudi. One of them perfectly described by Wade. And I'll admit that was a decent one, at least. An Uma Thurman knockoff with a very heavy British accent. They've got, superpowered weapons, powered by one of the quills off of Knuckles when he dropped, when he was like running around and scratched his ass too hard. So they're like mano a mano with Knuckles. They're able to fight him off or keep him at bay to the point where they subdue him and they take him hostage. Because the point is to get Knuckles to the bad guy so the bad guy can experiment on Knuckles, I guess potentially kill him and take his powers from him so he can be like the supreme ruler, dictator, some shit like that on a global scale, thanks to Knuckles' powers. So they're able to take him, they take Knuckles hostage, and that leads us into episode number 2. And I will say, by the way, side note, there is no real menacing nature or threat emitting from Kid Cudi's person. I forget the name of his character on the show, but he seems like I could take him myself without even trying too hard, and I don't mean to offend Cudi fans like that or Cudi himself. I don't know if he's actually had martial arts training. I think he did or something like that. I can't remember, but Kid Cudi looks like he could be easily taken or subdued in a fight. I'm not going to take him serious against a fucking superpowered red furry alien either with humongous knuckles that'll probably break your face and like just flicking his finger on your nose. Episode 2 is when we get the proper intro music for the series itself, which is, I'll get it right here, Scandal the Warrior. Shooting at the walls, a heartache, bang, bang. You know how the song goes. You probably heard it. It's been played plenty of times. I don't know if that one's been overly used in TVs or movies. Correct me if I'm wrong, but at least this is the first time I heard that song in a while, and I knew it right away. And I was like, you know what? I like it. That's a very cute approach. It's very, clever in the sense of Knuckles, a warrior from another planet. Why not give him that song? A cool little bop in the theme, too. Which, again, we'll get to at the very end as far as all the songs that were fucking used throughout the series, which is a lot. So I don't know how the fuck this thing would even make money back for Paramount, the series, I mean, considering just the music alone that they used throughout 6 episodes, and the production value, and the special effects, and the casting and shit. I don't know. Maybe this will be a clear-cut sign. Maybe the music will be the demise of the chance of us ever getting a follow-up season 2 with the Knuckles. But I don't know. It's probably too early to judge. And according to reviews online and just about everybody that's seen it, they feel the same way like I do. And I have to agree and co-sign all that shit. Not enough Knuckles. Series overall, we'll get to it later, just so we don't lose our focus here. Okay, so episode 2, we get the introduction to the official, song for the series. Again, Scandal Warrior. Just when they knock it out the park with a great song like Scandal the Warrior as the fucking intro theme for all 6 episodes, right? Just when you think, oh wow, they picked an old song that has been overly used or abused or whored out like that, made it work, and it's cute, it's clever for the fucking main character, right? All credit due at that point gets taken right back and shoved down our pockets again when they introduce the next song they want to use, which is Bonnie Tyler, Holding Out for a Hero. Which I already heard in the Super Mario Bros. Movie, the new one, I mean. Which I heard in Shrek, I forget which one. Which I heard in this other fucking movie, and that other fucking thing, over the last 10, 20 years. And again, it's at the expense of using it on Wade, which is the main focus of this episode, a majority of episode 2. Don't ever say I wasn't there for you, because he's got to be the one to go save Knuckles. That's been kidnapped by the gun agents, Kid Cudi and Uma Thurman, right? So, because he wants to get himself prepped, he fantasizes about how heroic he'll look and be while rescuing Knuckles from the, grasp of the gun agents, and that's when they hit Q on fucking Bonnie Tyler holding out for a hero, which, again, to me at least, I'm sorry, I forget the name of the actor, but Wade is just not funny again in this whole episode. Very corny, very, just obvious with the jokes and the fucking lines he might even spit out like that. Then again, it's supposed to be more like a kid-oriented series, so they can't really make the fights all John Wick or, the Ray kind of style fights either. But there's a fight between Kid Cudi and the main guy, Wade, or the sidekick. Well, no, at this point he's like the main guy because there's way more Wade and Knuckles. It's a fight between them two. It's charming in their attempt, but Kid Cudi has to take a phone call from his mom halfway through, choking out the other guy. Um, I don't know. I want to say Wade, or the actor at least playing Wade, was trying to channel too much of like a Will Ferrell type of "Oh, you mean that?" kind of like throughout the fucking series. It's trying too hard to be like him, pretty much, which I don't like, because be your own guy or deliver your lines your own way, kind of thing. If you're supposed to be a comedian or a comedic actor, you should know how to fucking fall back on your talents to make these lines hit and stick. But he's taking phone calls halfway through the fight. It's his mom. I'll call you back later. I promise I'll get back to you and shit. Da da da. They continue to fight. He throws sriracha hot sauce, which, shout out to sriracha. I love the. That's another obvious piece of product placement. We'll get to that too as well. Sprays in Kid Cudi's eyes, throws a tray at him, and automatically Kid Cudi's knocked out. So I told you he wasn't a fucking threat. Exactly. Point proven. Then he storms in with like the robot fist, whatever. He destroys the thing that Knuckles is trapped inside of. They break free. They fly out a big hole in the side of the building. Knuckles can't fly, however. He can only glide for a limited time, which is, that was actually pretty funny. The way they do it, the way they played out. It was like a little homage to fucking E.T. No, E.T. went off in the basket on a bicycle of that way. They go down this way because, again, Knuckles can only glide. He can't fly. So that was pretty cute and clever. The end of the episode, somehow Wade is now apparently a fugitive, and there's like a $100,000 bounty on his head for whoever captures him and brings him back to the authorities. Meanwhile, the gun agents just really want Knuckles. I guess maybe they did so, if you find this guy, he's going to be linked to the alien, and you can do us a favor and bring us the alien to us, and you can collect your money from the government and shit. Maybe that's how it works. I don't know. So these gun agents ain't so dumb after all, I guess is what I'm saying. Especially Uma Thurman. She's pretty, and she's pretty smart too. Cudi, his acting throughout the first episode and this one, pretty dry. Again, I don't know if he did much better in How to Make It to America or anything else he's been a part of. But in this series, he was kind of phoning it in, and he was not adding anything as far as acting. Episode 3 is called The Shabbat Dinner, where Wade drives Knuckles, now a fugitive, to see his mother and seek refuge with her, considering she lives pretty close to Reno, on their way to Reno, while hopefully not getting arrested or taken in by authorities, basically. They go to see her. She's very Jewish, not so much in the looks, but in the way she puts on the character. It is charming. I mean, it is like, it's not hilarious the way she acts so Jewish, and I don't know if the actress herself playing the mother was actually Jewish. Maybe she was, maybe she wasn't. But she wasn't bad. We get introduced to Wade's sister. I forget her name. She's an FBI agent. She's not bad. She's actually pretty funny with how annoying and how much of an asshole and or a bitch she acts throughout the episode. Thinking she knows better because she's an FBI agent versus Wade, who's like a local, officer from Green Hill Zone in comparison. So they're always, like cats and dogs at each other's necks. I'm better than you, I'm FBI. Well, who gives a shit because you suck? Even if I'm local PD, it doesn't matter. Fuck you, kind of thing. And the whole point of Shabbat Dinner is Mom is glad to have both her kids back and a new friend in Knuckles, the red hairy little alien, who's adorable, home for Friday night Shabbat Dinner, which we got a lot of little lessons as far as like what being Jewish is like, or having Jewish traditions at home is like. Shabbat dinner meaning like they spend, according to what she said, 3 hours by the candlelight, just the family itself enjoying each other's company, talking and eating at the same time, and they got all the traditional Jewish plates and things that only Jewish people eat. The matzo ball soup, gefilte fish. There's a lot of little jokes that Knuckles makes, and again, this is proving why Knuckles should have been the main focus of this episode and of this fucking series, which he kind of sort of is. He tag teams in and out a lot with Wade, but so it's like 50-50 Knuckles, 50-50 Wade throughout this episode. Balancing act, I guess you can say, we'll admit that, right? But at least Knuckles has a lot of little funny quips and lines, thanks to Idris Elba, such as when the mom asked him, "Oh, Knuckles, what do you know about like the Jewish race or something like that?" And I forget how it's built up. He says, "I know very little, but I admire your tiny hats," referring to the little yarmulkes that they wear, because Wade has to wear one at the dinner table for Shabbat. They do kind of blunder an unnecessary joke, like forced in there. When she first meets Knuckles, instead of saying Knuckles like you would normally, she says Knuckles or something like that. Like, really makes it super Jewish. Like, Knuckles, like Knuckles or something like that, right? It's really a play off the old Family Guy joke of Stewie doing the cool whip instead of cool whip, and Brian has to correct him all the time. Same exact joke, same exact gag. Doesn't work as well, and she's trying too hard. I wouldn't say she's trying too hard, but I think they gave her that line, and I would hope at least there was like some feedback from her saying, "This doesn't really play off well. Should I really have to do this?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, it'll work. It's based off an old Family Guy gag. People get it. It'll work just fine. Just do it." It was lazy. Very lazy attempt at being, just stealing that joke from Family Guy, pretty much. A cool part about this episode was getting a glance into Wade's room, where he grew up in, where he's got all the vintage fucking posters from movies and musicians that you can only imagine if you were a kid of a certain age. I'm of that age, so I knew everything once I saw it. Rambo, RoboCop, Speed, all these fucking I loved posters when I was young. I never had a room of my own to actually put up posters in. When I finally did have some space to do so, I did put up some posters. But I forget what happened. There was like water damage, and a lot of them got damaged. But along with the water damage in the wall, they damaged our fucking posters. I'm officially jealous of this fucking guy playing Wade, because not only is he the sidekick of the real star of the show in a series about a video game character, Knuckles, from a very popular franchise, but he also gets to play the big kid as far as like all this nostalgia, clothing, bed sheets, posters, all this shit. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, fucking Batman shit. All this cool shit he's got at his disposal for playing Wade. Badly playing Wade. But, I stressed that point enough, I think, at this point, right? So, now the whole point again of getting them to Reno, or Vegas better yet said, is so Wade can enter the tournament that his dad's bowling in as well. He's like the champion bowler, the big deal, big hotshot bowler. He wants to be there so he can compete with his dad and potentially beat his dad at bowling, of all things, which, if that's a life goal of yours, good for you, but I don't know who would really look forward to winning a bowling tournament like that. I don't know. I'm not judging, I'm just saying. I'm kind of confused. There are some goons that are after him, that pinpoint him, bounty hunters, that somehow find out where he lives. They go to his mom's house. They go to find him and try to kidnap him. They fail to do so because, of all people besides Knuckles, Mom gets involved, and they allude to her knowing Krav Maga, which is the Israeli like hand-to-hand combat, I think based off of, I won't even say that, but it's like a really intense, to be taken very serious fighting style, Krav Maga. I'd love to learn if given the chance. Basically, it's that cool. But she can handle herself against these goons. It's a back-to-back, her and Knuckles beating up on the goons in the kitchen while trying to keep the candles for Shabbat lit, making sure they don't go out because it's against tradition if they do. And then they end the episode all together, the sister, Wade, Knuckles, Mom, overlooking the fucking candles as they go out. Boom, episode's done. Cute episode, wholesome, and a lot more a shine reflected on Jewish traditions and especially Shabbat that I had no idea of, and I had no clue how that works. So that was actually fun to learn about. But again, I also did like it was a balancing act of 50-50 Knuckles and Wade. Now we go into episode 4, The Flames of Disaster, the one I referred to earlier as the unique enough of an approach, despite the fact that it's very close to no Knuckles almost in this episode, and it's like entirely Wade. It opens up with him getting taken hostage or kidnapped, or I guess bounty hunted by his best friend, who was I think the captain of his bowling team. That was a low-key bounty hunter, and took him off the team because he sucked that bad. He lost against a little girl from the Girl Scouts. He's a bounty hunter, so he catches Wade, takes him, puts him in a cage behind a fucking limo on their way to Reno to the fucking tournament they're going to, which is the whole point. Uh, at this point, I can't stand Wade anymore. I can't stand not so much the actor, because I think maybe it was, I would think, it was a mix of poorly scripted lines for his character, but also this guy not being enough to carry the character or flesh it out like that. It's really unfunny. I don't know. I didn't even chuckle with this being a mostly Wade episode, which is him tapping into his warrior potential via Knuckles' guidance, telling him you can do it, you can just tap inside. He busts out his cage at some point. Before that, there's like a whole little like rock musical s segment that goes on for long, but I'll admit it was good. That was funny. Everybody involved, like the guy hunting him down, Wade, everybody around him dancing and reenacting, Knuckles' life story and shit. The Path of a Warrior, whatever it was called. But once that's done, it goes back to just being like, at most, kind of like, I can't even laugh, but I don't want to hate on it either like that. It's just more like, where's Knuckles, for God's sakes? Like, I don't need this much fucking Wade. This is why I think this should have been a movie instead of a 6-part series, because it's too much that they got to try to fill in for each episode, which is like 25, 30 minutes on average. And I guess to make up for it, they put a lot of fucking Wade and his backstory. And I miss my daddy. He's an asshole, but he's a champion bowler, and I want to be a champion bowler too, so I need to reunite my father. All this. Oh yeah, and then Knuckles is involved some way, somehow, like helps me out and shit, and he's like the only good part of each episode, but there's not enough of him to save every episode, especially this one, which again, clever premise, unique, like the rock musical segment. Everything else outside of it, where's Knuckles? I'm here for Knuckles. Too much fucking Wade as is. There's that about that episode. I really don't want to go too much into that one. The rock opera, whatever it was called, was good. But one thing that turned me off to this episode is that there's a couple of references, not just one, but a couple of references and or product placements openly for fucking Facebook Marketplace and or Meta of all things. Which, listen, all credit due to Zuckerberg. I've been off Facebook for years because now it's just full of old people with stupid opinions, and instead of just hitting like on something, they have to type out like and like their own shit too, just to emphasize it as well. So Facebook sucks for that reason. It's been trash for that reason. I get it if maybe they got paid by fucking Facebook or something like that, or Zuckerberg himself said, hey, a Sonic series, I'll buy into that, whatever, I'll fund it a little bit. They could have done it a little bit more clever, at least. Like, maybe he pulls out his phone, he goes on Facebook Marketplace without having to say he went on Facebook Marketplace, but it's two references to it directly. And I'm not against Facebook either. I'm not saying like, oh, Zuckerberg is so evil, fuck him, whatever. No, I don't give a shit, honestly. But the duel at the end of the episode, after the pretty, admittedly good, but still cheesy rock opera, was a letdown. Because it's between, again, Wade and this fucking boy who's a bounty hunter, who no one gives a shit about, no one asks to see, no one wants to see, because we are here for Knuckles! Not for Wade, featuring Knuckles. Not for Wade and why my daddy, I want him back, but I don't, but I had to beat him in this tournament, but I don't really want to. Oh yeah, here's Knuckles, by the way, the real star of the show, the whole fucking bait and hook that you wanted in the first place, too, with a series of 6 episodes of hopefully Knuckles, but no, we gotta deal with this fat, whiny, needy fucking sidekick. That ain't Knuckles. Excuse me. I'm getting acid reflux just thinking about fucking Wade and how boring it was this episode. Then we go into episode 5, titled Reno Baby, which, despite the lows and too much Wade, almost no Knuckles episode 4, I was feeling bad. I was like, God, this shit is like, not like this shit is so bad, it sucks, whatever. I was like, damn, that really was a fucking letdown, that whole episode. It was like a steep decline off of like, a not so bumpy road, just kind of easy cruise control kind of shit with like the first 3 episodes. They kind of go uphill towards greatness, potentially a little bit, with Reno Baby, the 5th episode, because they open up with Wade and fucking Knuckles finally making it into Reno and or Las Vegas, better get said, driving along to the Ghetto Boys, damn, it feels good to be a gangster. But I know that's been used in Office Space a little bit more classically and elsewhere too. It's not a new song. It's not like a uncovered gem just for this show. It's been used, but it still kind of falls perfectly into place, and it just feels cool. And it looked good to see Knuckles just bopping his head to fucking, Scarface, while he's rapping his ass off on fucking "Damn It Feels Good to Be a Gangster." But I thought that was cool. Reno is where Wade has his official battleground set as far as meeting up with his dad, who turns out to be British, or I think he was putting on a British voice the whole time to, act pompous and bigger than what he was. But he's like the king of the bowlers out there. And again, the whole point is Wade entering this tournament to beat his father and become the king bowler himself, and I guess at the same time reunite with his dad. I'm a little confused by this because there is product placement, obviously, but I'm a little confused by how this works and if it works in real life, better yet said. So if you know out there, please let me know. Feel free to do so. When Wade is too afraid to approach his father to initiate, contact after like so many years since his dad abandoned him, Knuckles takes one of Wade's AirPods, it looks like. They don't show the Apple logo, obviously, but it looks just like an AirPod. Sticks it in Wade's ear, and Knuckles gives him the dialogue to feed to his dad. The lines are like, reintroduce themselves and be like, we're on good terms, let's get together, let's bond, make up for lost time and shit. Wade's got an AirPod in, but he has a Samsung phone, which Knuckles uses to talk to him with. So that's why I was confused. And I know it's a Samsung phone because it's not the three lens layout like an iPhone has, which would automatically work with AirPods. It's a Samsung phone. It's like the three lenses straight down in a row, maybe even five it had on it. But it's a Samsung phone using AirPods. Does that work? I don't know. But that was odd to even do. I don't know. Maybe they couldn't get the okay from Apple to use an iPhone and AirPods, but whatever. That was a little weird. I figured I'd point that out. Paul Scheer, comedian, is here in this episode as one of the commentators covering the goddamn bowling tournament on ESPN 8, as they jokingly refer to. I like Paul Scheer. Quirky, bald, white guy. I like him. He's funny. He's an unsung hero of comedy. He's like good for when you need someone there. And I remember him fondly from like all those like World's Worst Police Chases and or like those Guy Code kind of shows like that on MTV and True TV and all that. He's always great for those shows. He's always like one of the funny ones consistently throughout that shit. So shout out to Paul Scheer. He's great. Love seeing him on this shit too. He gets enough airtime too as well to shine. So I like seeing that a lot for Paul Scheer. Back to the music, because now they use of all fucking songs to do a montage music video for the whole way the tournament plays out, and they whittle down everybody from like the whole starting 16 or whatever to like the final two, which is Dad versus Wade. Of all songs, they use Scarface Push It to the Limit. I forget the name of the actual song, but you know which one I'm talking about. Push It to the Limit from Scarface, which was beautifully used in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Mutant Mayhem as well, for Splinter when he was saving his boys from being milked for their mutation, or mutagen I mean to say. And now here, one of the highlights of all 6 episodes for me, the way it was edited, put together, shot, and laid to the fucking music, is this whole tournament montage with the perfect song to go with it too. And they let the whole song play out too, just like they did in Scarface the movie. That's the same length of time this song gets to breathe in this fucking part of this 5th episode, which was great. Which I think in that case probably put number 5 as my favorite episode out of all the 6. Editing and everything about this fucking part is mwah, 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 chef's kiss all over the fucking place. But it turns out Dad is a British turncoat, because not only did he take his mom and his sister hostage, Wade's, I mean, of course, or his daughter, his ex-wife, but he also called the gun agents, so Uma Thurman and Kid Cudi, to come in again because he knew that he'd get paid of some sorts if he gave them up to the fucking gun agents for the sake of them capturing Knuckles. So in the hotel suite, there's a whole fight between Wade and the gun agents trying to get his mother and his sister freed. At the end of it, Wade has to give up the information for Knuckles as far as where he's located so that the gun agents can like finally take him hostage and bring him to the guy that they're working for. They used to work under Robotnik. But that's where that one ends there. So on a cliffhanger, better get said. That goes into the last episode, episode 6. What happens in Reno stays in Reno, where Wade does give them the information as far as like he's got to call Knuckles to have him come up to the suite so he could be taken hostage. But Knuckles had an AirPod in the whole time on his way up in the elevator and got the drop early that the two agents were there waiting for him, Uma Thurman and Kid Cudi, right? So as soon as the fucking elevator door opens and you think Knuckles will be there, they start blasting away with fucking ray guns and shit. They missed him completely because he dangled onto the ceiling. He swoops down. Boom, the music hits. And it's a fucking another classic that's been not used so often. Elton John's Saturday Night's All Right for Fighting, which is great. That was in the last time I heard of it was Grand Theft Auto 5. Fits the fight scene very well. Knuckles in there fucking everybody up. Of course, Knuckles wins. And it's time to head off to the tournament because he's still got time to do so. Dad versus Wade. Wade versus Dad in the fucking finals of the tournament. While the tournament's going on, the bad guy that hired Uma Thurman and Kid Cudi, I guess got tired of waiting for them. So he put on his big ass mecha robot suit and starts walking his big ass down to Vegas, wrecking shop and taking names and whipping ass and all that, all up and down the streets, while Wade is winning the tournament against his dad. Oops, spoiler. Dad, of course, lost to Wade because Wade had to win. It's his fucking story and series, apparently. So it's Wade featuring Knuckles, of all fucking things for this show. It turns out there's so little Knuckles involvement. Knuckles is getting fucked up. When he goes to confront the thing, he gets his power sucked out of him by the fucking machine, robot, big guy, whatever. He's about to kill him, but then mom and sister come out of nowhere in a little golf cart with like the powerized gloves and weapons. Wade has to realize his full potential again to save the day and save Knuckles' ass, better yet said. Does that. Knuckles gets his power back. He's just smashing the shit out of this robot. It's pretty cool. Not only does Knuckles go Super Saiyan, so he starts floating and glowing and shit, like with the hair spiked up like Goku does, or all them that do in Dragon Ball. I don't know about Dragon Ball, so you can tell me if I'm wrong on that. But he goes Super Saiyan, starts glowing, and he starts using his infamous Flames of Disaster, like finishing move, to destroy the robot. But on top of that, he literally drops a fucking spirit bomb on him. Not literally, of course, but almost close enough to a spirit bomb by taking a big-ass globe overhead, like somewhere in Las Vegas, and just drops it on the fucking thing to smash the guy in the fucking, I guess, jelly, pretty much, because who would ever survive that? Because the added impact of the weight of the thing dropping on you, plus the fucking robot and mechanic thing you're like strapped to, we can assume that guy's dead. Pretty much. So we had our first on-screen death in Knuckles, a Sonic series. That's how it ends. Fucking Knuckles and Wade, they're all cool and shit, and they gotta dance to Salt and Pepper's What a Man, because that was Wade's song choice to dance off the final episode with. I don't know. That was a weird choice. I think it was trying to be quirky and ironic and funny, but they kind of failed and made it kind of like pause. Like, are you talking about Knuckles like that? The alien rat, red, furry, little rodent, or marsupial? I don't know. I don't know what fucking Knuckles identifies as besides a warrior. But let's ask him if we ever get the chance sometime. Let's go now to the music. Alright, so in this order, I believe, we got The Warrior by Scandal, which is the theme, the opening intro for each episode after episode 1. Our House by Madness. We got Green Onions by Booker T and the MGs. Belly Dancer Bonanza by Manbeck and BYOR. I don't know if you even say it like that. Keep Moving by Milk with a Y. Can I Kick It by Tribe Called Quest. That was a pleasant surprise, actually. Non Je ne regrette rien by Edith Piaf. Holding Out for Your Hero, which was, again, overly used in general in the last 20 years by Bonnie Tyler. Not her fault, of course. It's just some movies being too lazy. I Don't Want to Wait by Paula Cole, Rock You Like a Hurricane by the Scorpions, or Scorpions, All the Small Things by Blink 182, Oh Pretty Woman by Ray Orbison, Hava Nagila during the Shabbat Dinner episode, Good Morning by Judy Garland and Mickey Rooney, Send Me an Angel by Real Life, Damn It Feels Good to Be a Gangster by Ghetto Boys, Let Me Entertain You by Robbie Williams, Scarface, Quote Unquote Push to the Limit by Paul Engelman, The Story of My Old Man by Good Charlotte, Saturday Night's All Right by Elton John, Sirius by Bornik Matosik, Pick Up the Pieces by Average White Band, Guardians of Heaven's Gate by Bloodbound, and What a Man by Salt and Pepper, oh yeah, and En Vogue, of course. Those are all the songs used throughout the fucking series. Oh god. I'd hate to think now if you want to green light and or fund a Knuckles series and you gotta rely on all those songs to be spread out through 6 episodes. I can't imagine the licensing nightmare that had to be to get all those songs. Maybe they're all under, or most of them under the same labels. I don't know. But I will admit, though, they all kind of fit. They're not perfect, but they fit at least. So it's not like bad choices here and there. It's more like just they work. They all work respectively. So yeah, I guess it wasn't too bad as far as the song choice is concerned. Pleasant surprise, but I think the more pleasant surprise, let's say for me, was in Sonic 2, where Robotnik's theme at the end was fucking Pantera's Walk, which, you know, shouts to Pantera and rest in peace to Dimebag. That used to be the theme for, if you know your wrestling, Rob Van Dam back in the ECW days, which was really cool to fucking hear on a kid screen, on a big screen with kids all around, like probably wondering what the fuck that song is, but all the parents or like the young enough dads be like, banana, 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 Robotnik. And I remember Robotnik was hilarious. Jim Carrey, of course, being Robotnik was hilarious in that fucking movie, playing, dancing around in that song. Those are the songs used, and also the product placements, if you need to know, and because they're there, obviously, in your face. In the very first episode, Knuckles is blatant about his love and fascination with Cool Ranch Doritos. I must visit this ranch of Cool Ranch. Or I must visit this Cool Ranch via this bag. I forget how the line goes, but it was cute, but it was like a little too obvious. They showed the bag and everything. In the second episode, Wade says the following line, and I quote, "Let's do this, Spotify," when he's about to break into the villain's house to save Knuckles. And he's struggling to press Spotify on his phone because he's got like the robot fingers on and shit, so he picks the wrong song. I think he picks the song, oh god, I forgot the name. I think I just named it too, but I forget it. I think it was the song from Dawson's Creek. I think that song. Whatever that song was from Dawson's Creek, that's the one he ends up playing to go into his hero montage, and it's alright. It's just a little too corny, too on the nose with the corniness. And then, of course, finally, like I mentioned 2 times, they blatantly mentioned Facebook Marketplace because it's just too obvious that it's an ad. It was Facebook or Meta or Zuckerberg just paying his way into getting to the series, or them thinking marketing that way would have been clever, but really, it's like, I doubt any of the kids watching this series because they love the Sonic movies so much would even know what Facebook is, unless they stream their games, Roblox or Fortnite, whatever, and they happen to use Facebook as one of the platforms to stream on, while they multi-stream on, right? So overall, with the show, I liked it. I didn't love that it had a lot of potential to be better, and that potential really lied in using more Knuckles throughout the series, throughout all 6 episodes. Very simple fix, which is making it more Knuckles, less sidekick, less everybody else involved. Keep them out. We want Knuckles. Yes, we got enough Knuckles in the movie, Sonic 2. Yeah, great, funny, comedic relief, great timing, thanks to Idris Elba. But in the series, named Knuckles of all things, you would think that it's not just Knuckles being reduced to the first 3 episodes where we get the most Knuckle action. Because then episode 4 is all Wade, the sidekick. The fat, unfunny sidekick we don't need to see more of, or see any more of his dilemmas unfold like that. We get it. He's got his whole story, meeting his dad, professional bowler, British, abandoned him when he was young. Now he's got to face his dad in the finale of the bowling tournament. We get it. But we're here for fucking Knuckles. Not fat, unfunny sidekick that tries too hard all the fucking time. It's overall really charming. But there was a lot of potential to make this better. Had it just stuck to just making Knuckles, Knuckles, Knuckles. That's it. Also, there was episode 3 with the Shabbat Dinner, the Jewish episode, which that's the only time again where Knuckles looks out of place or like he was photoshopped in to every scene he was in inside the house, which I don't know if it was a lighting issue or what the fuck they were doing animation wise, but that's the only one where he's like, he looks out of place, or he looks too fake like a puppet, especially at the dinner table. Like the lighting isn't good on him, so he looks dark. He looks like, I don't know, what's that word? Like the colors are all over the place. It doesn't look natural and shit. Obviously, he's a fucking pretend alien rat from who knows what fucking planet still, but he doesn't look real. He doesn't look properly animated, is what I'm saying, in episode 3. That was the only episode I got a problem with, as far as like how Knuckles looks. Throughout the whole fucking 6 episodes, they did a pretty good job animating Knuckles to make it look like, oh my god, there's really a fucking alien Echidna right next to me talking to my mother, who's super Jewish and fainted at the sight of an alien on her doorstep and shit. And then of course, just too much Wade. Not enough Knuckles. So if I had to rank them as of right now, Sonic 1, Sonic 2, and Knuckles a series, I'm going to go Sonic 2. It was funnier at the expense of being cornier, but we got introduced to Knuckles, who was hilarious throughout the whole movie, and we got Dr. Robotnik in full force thanks to Jim Carrey again. I would have to put this series right underneath it as far as me enjoying this more than the first Sonic the Hedgehog movie, which wasn't bad, but they were still trying to find their footing there. It was promising, it had potential and shit, but it did so well in the box office. Obviously, they did the second movie, and then we got the series, as I just went over. But yeah, I go Sonic 2, Knuckles, then Sonic the Hedgehog. Now we got Sonic the Hedgehog 3 coming out later this year, December, which should be featuring the main bad guy being Shadow the Hedgehog. I'm looking forward to that shit. Believe me, I am. I love Shadow. Let's see if that's any good. And I forget, who's the voice? Oh yeah, I think Keanu Reeves is the voice of Shadow, actually. So we got Idris Elba, we got, Keanu Reeves, good guy, bad guy. Can't really complain about that. I only wish this show was better. I only wish this show would have served more as a bridge to a more promising road into Sonic 3. This one, all the reviews, I have to agree with them, could have been better. So out of a 2, I'm going to say 1 out of 2 for me when it comes to Knuckles, a Sonic series. Could have been better, had potential, but just wasn't there, didn't deliver enough, and not enough Knuckles, which is the tragedy here.
Yo, it's over. All right, it's over. It's over. Move the mic. Move the mic.
Thank you.
All right.